wrestling convention. Not even the WWE had the chance to do it. It's all Shazana's work and her team. Give them a round of applause. This probably is the start of many wrestling conventions to come. So, without further delay, they've flown from the different parts of the world. All coming, okay. But we got fans from different parts of the world. We got fans from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Australia, of course. Yeah. Brunei, and we had two guys who just flew in from the Philippines 3 hours ago. Straight from the airport. And they came here. Where are my two friends? Where are the two guys from Manila? Were they here? They're still here. I thought they were here. Okay, maybe they stepped up. Okay, they'll be back. Okay? Maybe they didn't get the memo for the memo. Yeah. Okay.
You know, I block this one.
Alright, introducing our first guest for WrestleFest Asia, the panel session, all the way. She hails from Australia. She's from a former NXT star, a former WWE Diva, and now one of the upcoming stars in Impact Wrestling. Let's give a round of applause for Emma, also known as Tenille Dashwood. Okay, joining Tenille. Okay, I wonder whether y'all wanted Tenille to do her dance move. Never mind, we'll see. Intro. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna sell out all the T-shirts that she's brought from home. Okay, so joining Tenille this afternoon, live in Singapore. She was a former model, a former superstar with the WWE, one of the big stars from the Marine 4. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Summary, otherwise known as Danielle Monet. Okay, you can switch on your microphones at the bottom, the two of you, yeah, at the bottom. And completing the lineup of the Golden Trio, she was a former WWE Divas champion and recently crowned the 24/7 champion, the legend herself, Barbie Blank, also known as Kelly Kelly. Okay, thank you very much. Faris, are we now streaming? Okay, yeah, now she's streaming live, so make sure nobody's blocking. Or who's streaming? Oh, you're streaming, okay. Okay, come. No, hers is at the side, come. Danielle. Yeah, correct. Barbie has had an interesting morning with the single fan so far. Danielle and Tenille are in for a riot after the panel. Right? The WWE Universe in Singapore. Okay, let's start this party. Barbie Blank. Oh, never mind. Let's start with the other two first. Yeah, since you've already addressed it. Tenille, being from Australia, I'm assuming when you were growing up, you would have heard or known about this little island called Singapore. Yeah, and this is not your first time.
No, it's not my first time. I actually came a couple of years ago with WWE on tour.
Right.
I probably saw this movie there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So what have you been up to since you got here 2 days ago?
Oh, since we got here?
She's been annoying me.
Please, she follows me
following
around the world.
Everywhere.
Anyway.
Okay. You can see how this is going to go for the next 1 hour. That's why we put the two of them together.
Okay, so what do we do?
You went to McDonald's at the airport? Oh.
No, I'm an athlete.
No fast food. Okay.
Okay, but the pie was really good there. Anyway, so I got a couple of gym sessions in, tried to recover from the jet lag a little bit. And what else? We went to Marina Bay Sands. We walked around by the bay. We went and saw the hotel and the shops. We had some dumplings.
Nice.
They were really good. And then, last night we went to Lavo, the rooftop bar and restaurant, and we ate a lot of food.
Nice.
And there was beautiful views.
I see you brought like 2 suitcases. One of them is full of your merchandise.
Yeah.
Right, nice.
That's how I made them.
Exactly. Exactly. Danielle, what's been keeping you busy over the last few months?
I don't really do much. People ask me what I do now, and the answer is just not. I'm just kidding. Everyone in the audience was like, "Whoa, how do I react to that?"
What project are you working on? Maybe what project?
What projects am I working on? We've been busy with appearances. I have bought a home and have been, thanks to Tennille, and I've been just doing I don't know, in WWE we could only do that for so long that it's nice to just do a bunch of stuff. So just walked in Fashion Week in New York, being able to travel with Tennille. We went to Turkey, we went to England, we do trades with hotels, that was fun, and then I also do something else that I don't want to talk about. So that's great. That sounds sketchy. Sounds like sex, but it's not sex.
Working on some exciting projects.
Yeah, I have some stuff I just can't talk about. But
so stay tuned.
Okay.
Yeah. I just didn't want to be cliche.
Selling it for you.
I just didn't want to be cliche and say that, but yeah.
We're going to open the questions to the floor in a minute. We'll hear from Barbie. This is your second time in Singapore. Yeah. Okay, there's a whole story behind it. Anyway, because you were here for the SmackDown show in 2007 at the Indoor Stadium. 9,000 were there. You were like, what, 15 then? No. Okay. Oh, you were 15 then.
You're older than very young. 27. How many years ago was that? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you tried? Are these losing it? Okay. Have you tried any of the local dishes in your short stay over here? Local dishes.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
She had that 10-piece chicken nugget.
Yeah. Okay.
We had dumplings yesterday at the mall.
Right.
At Marina Bay Sands Mall. That was great. I love a dumpling. It was great.
Is that local?
Is that local? I don't know. Is it
It's one of the local.
It's more Japanese, right?
Dumplings. No, it's Chinese.
Chinese.
Chinese. Yeah. So in Singapore, of course, it's Chinese, the Malays, the Indians. Those are the 3 main ethnic groups, followed by the Eurasians and the Caucasians. So the Caucasians, You're Eurasian. Yeah. I used to be a Caucasian. I spent too much of time in the sun. Your thoughts of Singapore in your second trip here?
Well, like I was saying earlier when I did this, this is my second time doing this today, guys. Okay. So,
it's a different crowd.
I see a lot of the same faces.
They have been here since 10 a.m. waiting for all of you. Yeah. Okay.
No, it's been great. Like I was saying earlier, I haven't really gotten to see much. We landed on Thursday night. We went to McDonald's. Yesterday I slept a lot, and then just went out at night. We went to Lavo. So it's been really good. It's been really, really fun. Everybody's been super nice.
We're going to do tour stuff tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do tour stuff.
Probably the theme park.
The what? Yeah, Sentosa Island, right?
Yeah, Universal Studios.
I'm the one that makes all the plans around it.
Nice. Okay.
The mother of the group, but Danielle's older than us.
27.
Yep. Going on. Okay. Questions from the crowd. Remember, we just let's keep it to the storylines and the characters. Who wants to start? Come on, don't be shy. The Singapore fans.
Nobody? Okay. Okay.
That was Jason. Jason's from Australia. Santino. He flew from Australia to be here.
G'day, mate.
Melbourne.
G'day, mate.
Nice.
Melbourne, chucking out those shrimp on the barbie, right? No, we no one talks like that, really. It's just very, okay.
Yeah, but he flew down from Australia just to see you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Just to see me, not
Me.
Just me. Oh, you said it.
Do you like Culture Kings? That's my favorite store
Yeah,
in
I do.
Australia.
I work near there. So.
Really?
Yeah, right around the corner.
In Melbourne?
Yeah.
What's the place? What is the place where it was? Where all the graffiti is?
It's in Hosier Lane.
Hosier Lane. That's what I meant. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, so I'll just keep on posing a few questions. You feel free just to put up your hand. Anybody? Okay, go.
Hey, this question is for Neil. I'm really happy to Impact Wrestling. Could you tell me a little bit about why Impact is the right fit for you right now, right after your stint in Women of Honor?
You didn't just think of this question. You had this. Acted like nobody had questions and you had like an answer. So, tell me this three-part question.
Impact.
Yeah, no, I like it. Well, first off, thank you. I actually am not exclusively signed with Impact at this point. I like to work for myself and I like to travel as much as I can, and right now my schedule's been awesome. I've been wrestling constantly, but also going places that I haven't been yet. I just got back from a trip. I did Germany, Switzerland, Austria. Went and stayed at some amazing resorts, did some sightseeing, and then did some wrestling shows as well. So that's the kind of lifestyle I'm really enjoying right now. But Impact, I have got some more big things coming up, Bound for Glory in Chicago in a couple of weeks. So I think right now, obviously, women's wrestling is amazing across the board in every company. And I think that the women's division at Impact is very strong, and actually many of the women there I haven't wrestled yet. So for me it was exciting to have new competition, to have strong women athletes that are not just eye candy, that love to actually wrestle. And for me it was, something new that I hadn't done yet, and I actually have wrestled for, I would say, almost all of the main promotion, the big promotions across the world now, with WWE, Ring of Honor, Impact, NXT.
Waiting for AEW.
I did the AEW pay-per-view a few weeks ago as well. They did the Women's Battle Royal, the pay-per-view. And so that's the thing, my options are open right now, so there are some exciting things to come still. So you guys just have to keep watching.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. Barbie Black. In your early time with ECW, right? You had a live segment called Kelly's Expose, whereby you would proceed to do a sexy dance and strip to your lingerie. The crowd would go ballistic. Okay? Was it easy for you to do that?
She's going to do that tonight. You're over.
You can see I've been perspiring since I met you 4 hours ago. This is my third change of clothes. Right? Was it easy for you to decide to do that stripper storyline on more than one occasion?
When I got the phone call about doing that, I voiced to them, look, I'm not a dancer. And they were like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah. I was just like, okay.
We're all dancers.
And you were 19.
We're all dancers.
Exactly. And she was 19, the youngest ever WWE Diva at the age of 19. Yeah.
Not like it was fun.
No. It was, it was an experience. It wasn't my favorite, but it was to get my foot in the door, and so yeah.
Talking about experiences and getting your foot in the door, I have to ask you, how did you feel when Tommy Dreamer, bent you over on his knee and spanked your bottom? How many? I just saw it. I saw that clip on YouTube. I saw it like 5 times last night. You must understand why. Does anybody of you know how many times she got spanked? Any of you? Yeah, she already said 22 times. Just wondering. 22 times? Yeah. I tell you can't do that in today's context. Yeah.
Things
So
have
it's on
changed
YouTube.
a little bit.
Yeah, you definitely can't do that. But
Having this conversation, I was like, there's no way these days that they could get
Someone
away
tried
with
to spank me out, kick their ass.
yeah. So
I maybe be
22 times.
Yeah. No, when you're in ECW.
Yeah.
Maybe like
I
Vince.
guess
I like
a
Vince
14.
once.
And is it true? I mean, she mentioned Vince. Is it true that Vince was the one who you came out as Kelly, and then he added, he said, make it Kelly.
Really? Yeah, the second week I was there. It was first Kelly, and then the second week it was Kelly.
Any idea why?
What's the reason? The Cheers episode. He really likes Cheers. The show Cheers.
Okay. And how does Cheers resonate with mentioning your name twice?
So the bartender's name was Kelly, and there was a song that came on an episode that somebody sang, and it was Kelly. So
And that's how it all began. Nice. Danielle, you made your Raw debut in 2013 when you first walked out as the valet to. Okay. It's a Fandango. How would you say it? Fandango, right?
I called him Dango.
That's a new one. Okay, so can you describe that moment? Daddy Dango. Can you describe that moment going from FCW, which of course became NXT, and finally to the main roster on Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, so I wasn't supposed to, it wasn't like I got called up. We were on tour in Europe, and the dancer girl was a part-time fill-in girl. I don't know, like she wasn't an employee with WWE. So if you're not an employee, you can't go overseas because you can't get a working visa. So they just told me, like, oh, you're just going to be Fandango's dancer at the O2 Arena in London. And I was like, okay, great. And we did it. And then Twitter started trending. It was like, Summer Rae's the new person, blah, blah, blah. And then I think I was his dancer on the road for the tour. Like, it was just, the tour for 2 weeks was my first time on the road, which was horrific. Just talk about getting thrown to the wolves. And then when I came back for Raw, I don't remember, but I think that Monday I wasn't on, or I did it because we were still on the loop. And then they used the girl. And then when they used the girl again and it wasn't me, Twitter freaked out and everyone started trending and was like, why isn't it Summer Rae? Why isn't it Summer Rae? So I will say, like, give divas a chance and the whole hashtag and stuff like that. Like, sometimes I think the internet has a say in it, but sometimes I think they tell you the internet's having a say, so then you tweet more, so it's not really true. But for my case, the internet did help me get on. And so then Hunter approached me, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks after, and was like, the internet wants you on. Our concern with you is that you'll take too much off of Fandango. Like, he won't be the main attraction, because I think he was only like an inch or two taller than me, like in the heels. And I was, come on, you know, and he told me, he was like, I want you to go back and watch China when China was with me and was with DX, and I want you to watch how she valeted, and she never looked into the camera, she never looked into the audience, she only looked at me. So he was like, I only want you to look at Fandango, because if we're going to make this work, it has to be all about him. Because that was like right off Jericho and WrestleMania, like that was his big push. And so I was like, yeah, anything to get me out of FCW. So I'll look at whoever the hell you are. So that was cool. So the internet helped me. And so I didn't get excited. Like, I didn't think it was a call-up. So you never get excited. Like, I was supposed to be called up the year before. 6 months into FCW, I got the call to be with Damien Sandow in London. And I was going to be with Sandow, and they booked my travel and everything. I was so excited. Mind you, I shouldn't have been wrestling 6 months in. That's crazy. So looking back, I'm glad it didn't happen. But I got really excited, and then the day before...
Daddy Dango's calling.
And so the day before they called us and they were like, creative change, Sandow's they're not doing a valet, so I was super bummed out. So Norman Smiley always kind of taught me, or taught us, like, don't be excited till you're literally stepping out the curtain. Like, you can still fly to London and be in Gorilla and be in hair and makeup, and it doesn't happen. Like, you need to be 1 foot out the curtain. Yeah, and like that happens all the time.
Okay. During your early years before Raw, you had a couple of fights with one tenure, Dashwood, and that feud also played out live on Raw and SmackDown. How did it feel like working with a character known as Emma?
Oh, with Santino.
No.
But but it was like Emma and Santino, me and Fandango?
No, even it started before it, NXT. Yeah.
Oh, NXT, yeah. But did we have a thing on Raw and SmackDown, you and I?
No, you're saying with the guys.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, it was great. Like, anytime you could work, I thought, I was so nervous being on TV and being around SmackDown that anytime I could work with the girls from NXT, that was great. It was comfortable. Tenille's wrestled years and years before me. Paige, Natty, well, Natty wasn't in NXT with me. Well, she came to NXT a lot, Natty did. But, so anytime I could do that, it was nice because it felt familiar. So I really liked working with them on the main roster, and we wrestled a lot on house events, like weekend events, so it was easy to put the match together and we could just call it out there. And if she hit me hard, I just hit her hard back. Like, it wouldn't be a bitchy thing.
Would you like to respond?
How'd you like working me?
Yeah.
We had like a dance thing, so we didn't have to bump a lot. We could just have a dance off at the beginning, especially the weekend show, so that was great.
She seems like she's still in a state of shock. Okay. We'll come to the crowd. We'll come to the crowd in a minute. Tenille, in your wrestling roots dates back to, I think it's somewhat similar to Paige, that your brother was the one who actually introduced you to the sport at the age of 8. And then in your teenage years, you were competing in Australia. In 2008, you made that big switch all the way to Canada at the age of 19. How did you bring yourself to move halfway across the world and, leaving your friends and family behind? I assume.
Yeah. Honestly, because I loved wrestling from such a young age, I think by the time I was like 11 years old, I knew I wanted to be a wrestler already. And then I started training in Australia when I was 13. And I knew that, especially at that time, Australia was so far away from everything that I had watched on TV and everything we knew. And I think it became apparent that if I was going to try my shot at being in WWE, that I needed overseas, international training, and that I needed to train with someone who was in the WWE and kind of meet people and be known across the world. And I was too far away in Australia, so I guess at that point, when I was 19, I'd finished school. I went to university for a year, and I was like, okay, I can do this, but is it what I want to do? No, I just want to wrestle. So at that point, I within a few months booked a ticket to Canada and left, and that was it. I trained with Lance Storm in Canada. I would have gone to America, but it was too hard to get a working visa there. So it was easier to go to Canada at the time. So I trained with Lance Storm there, and that was kind of the first step to working overseas, meeting people, traveling, and that eventually got me to FW and NXT, WWE, all that.
Yeah, Lance Storm is 50 years old today, in case you're wondering. Yeah, he's 50 this year, And he began his career in 1990. That's almost 30 years. And began his career with Chris Jericho. Yeah. So like you said, you were traveling to and fro from Australia to the US to Canada, competing on the independent circuit.
Yeah.
Finally, in 2011, you signed a contract with WWE, underwent shoulder surgery first, and made your NXT debut in 2012. How did you feel when the WWE first came calling?
Well, going off your last question, I feel like it was never... in my mind, that was the only thing I was ever going to do, was wrestle. So it wasn't really a hard decision for me to just pick up and move. I feel like it took me years later to look back and go, wow, I just left my entire family and life and just moved overseas. But it was easy a decision because that's what I wanted to do. There have been many sacrifices over the years. I've lived by myself overseas for over 10 years now. My entire family's in Australia. But when I first went to it was FCW at the time, and I first went to an open tryout in Tampa, and I had been living in Vancouver, Canada at the time, and I remember I wanted to. I hadn't been seen by the WWE before, and I knew that when my first time being seen, I wanted to make a good impression. I didn't want them to see me when I wasn't ready, so I worked my ass off to get ready for that tryout. And at that time, I had to pay to go to the tryout. I paid for my hotel, my flights, everything, and I paid a fee for them to see me wrestle. Right. And there was an open tryout. There was about 50 people there, and at the end, they gave out one contract. How much did you pay? I paid, I think it was like $1,000 or something.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
No refund.
Plus my hotel, my flights. I paid like a few grand just to go to a tryout. There was 50 people there.
God, we make so much money.
So at the end,
that explains the $1 billion.
Yeah. Well, for me it worked out because at the end of it they gave out one contract and I got the contract.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice story. Okay, we'll turn it to the crowd, the audience. You got any questions? Okay, our friend again. It's alright.
Yeah. So this question is for Summer.
Thank God.
So I was back in 2015. You were in a long-running kind of romantic angle with Rusev, which had to be abruptly dropped after the TNT leak of his real-life engagement in Lana. So we've had a lot of hearsay about what happened backstage with the creative pivot. Could you tell us what actually happened? What was it like? Was it disappointing? Was it, were you furious?
Wait, what have you heard? Spill the tea.
This was like so.
Is there Singaporean dirt sheets?
Yes, the American dirt sheets.
Like Diva Dirt? What do you read?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And
WrestleZone?
Mostly we read about how much trouble Rusev got into.
Rusev?
Yeah.
What? Rusev, like the TNT. That's what they said that they read.
Yeah.
No one is bigger than the company. Yeah. Like no one is bigger than WWE. Maybe like Cena and The Rock. But like for sure not us. And like Vince is big on that. Like there's so much that we give to them. And so it's like just like a respect. Respect is the big thing there. So yeah, I mean, it was weird because like, not so many people, but for instance, people get DUIs and it's on TMZ, but then it's never talked about on SmackDown. Or like things are on TMZ that are never talked about, so I don't know why that was different with the Lana Rusev engagement thing, but someone got pissed, obviously, and they dropped it, just dropped, like, done, dropped, and it was obvious to fans because there was no payoff. Like Lana and I were going to have a fight. I mean, the title was up. I was going to get married to Rusev and he would win the title. I can't remember. Like, yeah, if he won the title, then we could get married. If he got his gold, I got my gold. That's right. And so, he was going to win the title. Like, why wouldn't you want your husband to win the title? So yeah, people were very upset and backstage, and I was really upset, but the cool thing about that is that it's cliche, but everything happens for a reason, and the breakup that I did with him, and we got crossover, I got to write that with the writers, which usually doesn't happen. I don't know about now, but I think they thought I was the one that was kind of going to get the shit end of the stick in that. Because it was free, yeah. And so they let me write it, which was great, and it was my favorite thing I've ever done, and we came in the back and got standing ovation, so that was really cool. Like, that was one of my highlight moments of it, was that one promo. I loved it. So yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? Things get dropped all the time backstage, but when it's, circumstances that are within your control, that kind of sucks, but that's just life, Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Ma. My question is for all three. Who is your favorite female superstar of all time, besides yourself?
Bobby? It's your favorite female.
Glad you pointed that out.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with Bobby first.
I would say Trish, for sure.
I don't have the same answer.
Yeah.
Trish? Okay.
Yeah, I mean Trish and Lita's feud was amazing. And that whole era, like Molly Holly, I really loved her, though we didn't really look similar. But yeah, like I feel like I usually gravitated to the more girly kind of wrestlers, but then I really loved Molly Holly. I loved like her, what she was doing, but it's weird now knowing like Lita and stuff, and like looking up to that. The whole thing's really weird. Or meeting Trish for the first time, I was like nervous to ask for a picture.
Yeah. Favorite women's wrestler of all time?
Crazy, but I'm gonna go with Trish. Trish and Lita though, same thing. But like back when I was young, I remember having, like I said, because everything was so kind of far away and foreign from Australia, but I remember having like access to magazines was like the only thing I could get my hands on, and having like Lita's poster on my wall. And like when I first started doing working with a personal trainer in the gym, I took a photo of Trish and was like, I want to look like her. Like that's what I grew up with. That was like, they were like my role models.
Okay.
Questions for all three of you. Any regrets over the course of your career? And if you had a chance to have a do-over, that regret would you?
For me, I don't. I was very happy with how my career started, how it ended. It was all on my terms. My whole character, I mean, besides the striptease, I was able to be myself. My character was me, except elevated obviously 100 times. And so I was kind of able to just go out there and be me, and I got to really interact with the fans, and I feel like I was really happy with how everything went.
For me, it would be more like speaking up. Like I feel like I definitely, I played the game within the rules. Like I colored within the lines a lot. And, a lot of people that get very far and get certain things don't. They're not scared. And I was just so excited to be doing what I wanted to do and accomplish my dream. I very much like played the game and did what I was told. And like I think if I would have done things like even just in NXT, like I never had merchandise when I was in NXT, neither did Tenille. We were kind of in that area, between it when it first came out, but then we weren't. Well, you were more NXT than I was, but it's like we should have easily had merch, and really that's just a speaking up thing. So, well, you spoke up a lot about that.
Yeah.
But it's like, but you didn't have merch.
No, I never had merch.
Yeah, and so it's like I feel like a lot of times you just have to tell them. And it's really so easy. Once you leave, you're like, oh, so like, why didn't I say, So I think I was really happy for people a lot. And I think in order to get far, you need to be not happy for people. You need to put yourself first. So I would watch WrestleMania, and if I wasn't on, I'd be like, oh, I'm so happy for them. That's my friend. Look, she had a great match. And that's great, but that's why I'm not in it. Like, because I'm not being like, screw that should be me. And I always just had that, like, I just loved wrestling. Like, I just loved WWE, and I loved the event. I would never want to know if the Hardys were coming back. I'd want to watch it and be like, oh, the Hardys are back. Like, I wanted to feel that. So I think, I probably just would have spoke up more and asserted myself. But, even though I was never champ or anything, I feel like I accomplished goals and dreams. So many girls are in NXT now and never, or guys too, like it's its own brand and they never make it to TV. Well, it just became TV. So, I just would have done a little more assertiveness, I guess.
To you?
I feel like I'm very grateful for what I did with NXT and WWE. However, I feel like I had a lot more to give, and a lot more to accomplish there. I feel like, and not necessarily that I could control, which is the thing, like there was only so much I could do. I worked my ass off. I was always pitching ideas. I was always trying to speak up and get myself in there, but there's only so much you can do, and sometimes it's just some certain people picking and choosing who they're going to use and what they're going to do with you, and you can only just give your best each time you get the opportunity, which I feel like I did. And I mean, it's not necessarily regrets, but I feel like I had a lot more to offer, and maybe I will one day. Maybe I still will.
Paris.
It's interesting. I have a lot of friends who are in the NBA and the NFL and stuff like that. And when you train your ass off in the off season, you stay late, you get there early, you're gonna get better. Like, it's just, if you're a 15th guy in the NBA and you sit on the bench, if you're there every day for the whole summer, And people will see that. And even if you're not as good as LeBron, you will get minutes because, first of all, you've gotten better. And also, the young kids on the team are looking at you. There's things. So the work you put in guarantees a result. The hard thing about us is the work you put in doesn't guarantee, or nothing's guaranteed. So it's a weird thing with us being athletes because it isn't an athlete in that perspective. It's still creative. It's still writing and, saying who they want and handpicking. So, but I do think what we get out of that is we get this like toughness and this mental toughness that we can do anything after this. Everything's easy after that, So just knowing that disappointment, knowing the blood, sweat, and tears, and like Tennille pitched like 900 things in like 2 months. Like I was like, well, shoot, I don't even have that many ideas for like my personal life. And so it's really crazy and it really messes with your head, but then it also makes so much stuff easier. Even when you leave, like even relationships and friends and stuff, you're just like, who cares? Like, shit, we're having a fight. Like, I don't care about that. It just makes you kind of tough mentally. So, and live TV is really hard. So if you can do live TV, you can do anything.
Faris.
Yeah, I get that question all the time. It's my favorite question. Let's just say, ask Vince McMahon. That was a Vince idea that never came to fruition. Or kind of something happened, but basically let's just say Vince had a realization towards the end of that was not me, and then was like, oh wait, let's just do what you're already doing. That was good. And that's how it all happened.
Just going back before Emelina, tell us about Santino Marella. You worked with him, and right up to when he announced his retirement. So
yeah, Santino is awesome. I had some of like the most fun moments of my career with Santino and the Cooper. And I actually sent something to Danielle recently. It was our match from NXT. It was actually the match that got me onto the main roster. Basically, Triple H had this idea to put Santino and I together and thought it would be hilarious. And so he did it at NXT against Summer and Fandango. And it was a hit. Like, I think it came off really well to the NXT audience. Yeah. And then within a few months, I was being debuted with him on Raw, I think it was. But yeah, like some of the times we were out there on live TV, he would be saying things under his breath to me, where I would be just trying with all my might not to crack up laughing on camera, or just, I can't even tell you some of the things he said. But seriously, some of the most fun moments of my career were with him.
Nice.
He is so funny. Like, he's the fun. Like, it's not just on TV. He's just, anything he says, I'm just laughing constantly.
Is he really from Italy? I didn't look it up. Is he? Sure.
I think he's background.
Okay.
He lives in Toronto right now.
Well, like, he doesn't have an accent.
Yeah.
Regularly.
Right. No.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did his. So he owns Battle Arts Academy in Toronto, his gym, and then they run wrestling shows. So I just did a show at his gym recently and caught up with him. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. We've got about 20 odd minutes. Anybody else? Him first. The guy there. Tennille.
It's for me.
Go ahead.
Oh.
For you.
I'll show you. Get up. She's not bumping. Don't be silly.
Not a chance.
I actually used that before WWE when I was on the independent scene, and I didn't want to use the submission at that point because I just come off WWE and you're fired. Yeah, I just so I didn't, and the submission I was using was the Muda lock, but I was calling it the Emma lock and obviously I wasn't Emma anymore, so I went back to my old independent finisher. What is it? It's like a kick in the side of the head. I'll show you. It wasn't my finisher before. Yeah, it was my finisher before WWE.
Right.
Yeah.
Question for Barbie.
How many times?
She's out of
What's she doing?
Who knows? She's had it. Yeah, now we can talk shit about it.
All right, how about you?
How did the idea for you to become the first women's 24/7 champion come about?
3 months ago. On the Raw reunion show.
It was funny. So I was already asked to go, so I was going, and I was literally in the airport, and Paul Heyman called me, and he was like, "We have this idea," and I was just like, "Yeah, let's do it." He was like, "Yeah, we want you to be the first ever women's 24/7 champ," and I of course was like, "Yes, I would love to. It'd be an honor. Like, so cool." And so then I was like, "But how am I losing it?" And he was like, "Well, you're gonna lose it to Candace," and I was like, "Okay, well that's fine." But it was really fun. It was a really fun time, and it was great being back at the Raw reunion and having like all the girls in the locker room that I worked with, 13 years ago. It was like, no time had passed. So it was really, really cool going back and doing that.
And what was your initial reaction when they said you were going to pin the old legend?
I didn't know.
It's a Briscoe, right?
It was Briscoe.
Briscoe.
Yeah, it was Briscoe. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that's how I was getting into it. And so I got there that day, and they're like, "Oh, okay. You're going to hit Mr. Briscoe in the nuts." And I was like, "Oh." So we rehearsed it, and literally like twice, and then we were live on television, and we did it. And he was so great. He was so sweet. I worked with him like when I started in 2006, so I've known him for many, many years. So it was very, very fun.
Thank you.
Danielle,
Yep.
what was it like working with The Miz on the set of Marine 4?
He's really the Miz in real life.
That is like 100% true.
But the funny thing is, like, not in a he's in he's a little annoying. Like, when he's Dusty always said, Stream always said, like, the most successful characters on TV were people who it was just an extension of themselves. So it's them times 10. For me, maybe that's why I wasn't successful, because I'm definitely not like Summer Rae at all. But The Miz, it's really just like him all the time. But I will say, he was amazing to me in the movie. He was very empathetic to me. He wanted to know if I wanted to run lines. And then our fight scene was the most important thing to me, because they actually cut out a lot of lines after. Long story, there was a lot of things that happened on the set, like this part, yeah, whatever. So we practiced our fight scene, like we had days off, and we practiced on Easter, we practiced on a lot of things, and he was really great with that. And then he spoke up a lot during the fight choreography, and I was very scared again to like speak up. I was just happy to be there, which is a trend with me, and so he was able to speak up. So I took a lot of things from him where I was like, oh, he doesn't want to take my bump, maybe I don't want to take his. But I did. But yeah, he was great.
Tenille, in your return to NXT in 2015, you competed against the likes of Carmella, Bayley, Charlotte. Eventually you came up against the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, who would then play a pivotal role, as in she was your last opponent before you left the WWE. What is your impressions of Asuka?
Someone was like, oh.
And she was undefeated at that time.
Yeah. So I actually really enjoy wrestling Asuka because she's kind of hard-hitting, Japanese style. And when I wrestled her, I always felt very in the moment, like this is a real fight and I'm going to get my ass kicked if I don't bring it, So I always felt like I matched her intensity, and she really brought out like some good traits in me, I feel like. And so I enjoyed our matches at NXT. My favorite match with her was NXT Takeover in London, and at that point Dana was with me ringside, and we had a really good storyline, which I felt made made
Yeah.
made the match mean a lot more. And then we wrestled a number of times, and we were actually supposed to have a pretty long feud at the end of, like you said, right before I wrestled her at the pay-per-view, and then on the Raw, and then I was gone. There was supposed to be a lot more.
Okay. Any questions from the crowd? Yeah. Yeah.
What's it like to be ECW, working with wrestlers like the Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, those extreme wrestlers?
And Knox as well.
Starting in ECW was definitely a blessing, I think. It really trained me to kind of, because I was just signed literally for probably 3 months before I got brought up to ECW. And so I was traveling with Tommy Dreamer, with Sandman, Sabu, and it was great. Like, everyone was treating me like a little sister and kind of took me under their wing and really, kind of taught me to have tough skin, and because I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So it was great. It was a great experience. I love ECW. I love the crowds. I love the hardcore fans. They finally accepted me after a long time of having to prove myself to them, and so it was great.
What's next for Bobby Blank as we fast approach a brand new decade, 2020 just around the corner?
Oh my goodness. So I'm coming out with a line. I have a skincare line. I am coming out with a bikini line. I just got involved with a non-profit organization to cure brain cancer, a type of brain cancer, which I'm very passionate about. And Instagram, like influencer stuff. So, all the things.
We still got 10 minutes, huh? I'll stay with Bobby for a second. Now back to the current scene in the WWE. What do you think of Sasha Banks' comeback as the blueprint?
I think.
Really? You guys? Wow.
I think her comeback is great. I think what she's doing is really great. I don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
You guys are booing because she's a heel, right? Yeah. I think everyone knows Sasha's good. She's really good. You can get it.
Bye.
He's the game master.
Sasha's awesome.
Tenille, looking at the current women's roster in the WWE, is Charlotte Flair going to be the greatest of all time? That's because she's already 33 and a 9-time women's champion. It means she's lost 8 times. That's what they used to say about Ric Flair. Ric Flair is a 16-time champion because he lost the belt 15 times. 17. Rick is 17? No. 16. Oh, yeah. So your take on Charlotte Flair?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear she's kind of created her own legacy. She's by far surpassed expectations of what people thought she would achieve. She's not just Ric Flair's daughter. She's like a hell of an athlete. I actually started the same day at FCW, so her first match was against me.
Wow.
Like, we had some awesome times. We were very, very close for a couple of years. We we were always at each other's houses. We shared many memories, and I kind of watched her struggle for the first couple of years and kind of try to find her feet and maybe kind of think, is this for me? How am I going to do this? She didn't really have a whole lot of training or confidence going into it. And now look at her, like, it's just crazy. When you see where she started and where she is now, you wouldn't even know what she has been through. And I will say I have a lot of respect for her because she works her ass off. It's not just what you see in the ring. She literally does like all the media. She does constant interviews. Like, she hardly sleeps or has a personal life. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I don't think she has a day off ever. Like, she's lucky to have like a date night that she'll put on her Instagram. And now I see that and I'm like, yes, she has a day off. I'm happy for her.
And she wants to step out of the shadow of her father's
legacy. She's already done that.
One more question for you. What do you think of your fellow Aussies, the Iconics, who became the SmackDown Women's Tag Team Champions a couple of months back? I mean, you of course are the first Australian, to make it up to the main. You're the first.
Very good point.
Yeah.
I was the one that opened the door. No, okay. So actually, I've known them for years, since before WWE, back in Australia. And I don't know if people follow independent stuff like Shimmer. I worked with Jesse McKay there. Peyton and I tagged back in Melbourne at MCW. I don't know, probably 10 years ago now. So we all knew each other before this, and it was actually. I remember when they had their tryout in Australia, they were messaging me, and we kind of exchanged some, tips, ideas, and things, and they were kind of saying, what do we have to do? And the next thing you know, they got contracts, and they're moving over. So it was kind of crazy. It's just with me, I feel like it never seems possible, and all of a sudden we're all here. Nice. So I love it. They're good friends of mine. I just went to Peyton's bachelorette and wedding, and good friends of mine.
Well, one or last two questions from the audience, but before that, don't worry, we still have 5 minutes. We're going to get your reactions on Sasha versus, what's her name? Becky.
What's her name?
So you can tell who I'm rooting for Hell in the Cell. You can tell. Okay? So we'll get your reactions in a minute. Danielle, how did it feel? The slap heard around the world when you slapped Natalia in front of her porch on Total Divas.
Natty says that sometimes, for 3 years after that, and now occasionally, more people would ask her about that than Bret Hart. At appearances, which is hilarious because I would rather ask about Bret Hart. I felt bad that I slapped her. Natty's just the best. She just plays along, and she had no idea that I was going to hit her. And after that, if someone would have hit me on that show, I would have lost my shit and quit. And so then after that, we had a rule: no physicality unless we talked about it, and the whole thing, whatever. And we didn't want to be trashy, but she definitely didn't realize, but it made for great TV. So. It was my first day filming Total Divas too. It was my first day.
What an impact.
So the producers did a really good job telling me it's what they usually do, and that's how it works.
Nice. From the crowd. Okay, you first. I'll come to you.
Just for the 3 of you, if you can do one more run with WWE, which current superstars are you going to face? You're going to have a feud with?
Yeah, I would want to face Sasha. Now that she's heel, though, that'd be interesting. I could never see myself with a babyface run. So
she's too whiny today.
And I would have to go back blonde. But yeah, definitely Sasha. She pitched us to be together, to wrestle together a lot right before I left. So I know she had interest in me, and I loved working her. It was just different. She really her and Natty made me just really step out of my box, and especially Natty with the shine and what she did. I never considered myself very athletic, and she always really pushed me. So but I'd probably work Sasha.
Janine?
You guys had a fun little thing together though in NXT too.
Yeah, and NXT was great. And then we worked main event. We worked 3 weeks on main event, and they gave us double sex, and it was great. So yeah, and she sells. When she was baby, I thought her selling was amazing. So yeah, I love Sasha. Only if Snoop Dogg was there, and we smoked weed with Snoop Dogg.
Janine?
I would wrestle.
From the current roster.
I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch, and because we were actually supposed to have a feud and it never happened.
Right.
Things change all the time, but at that point, that's when I had. It was right when. I had a back injury. I hurt my back and I had to go have surgery. We had just started. We had one match, I think it was, and a couple of backstages, and then we were about to have more. And I found out they took me off and they said you have to have surgery, and I was shattered. So, and we never got to go back to it. They never went to visit the idea again. So we never really got to have to do what we could have with that.
Okay, Bobby, current roster.
Charlotte for sure. I just really admire everything she's done. I remember when I was wrestling, and she would come, to WrestleManias she was right out of college, and she didn't know what she wanted to do, and so seeing her now and everything that she's done, it's so amazing to just see that, and I just admire her athleticism and gymnastics background, and she's really taken all that into her moveset, and I think it's so cool. So
nice. Final question from the floor, then, gentlemen.
You, Jennifer.
From the Wrestling Podcast,
Oh, wow.
I got a question from some of our listeners. So it's a two-parter as well.
From where? From where?
Wrestling Podcast here in Singapore.
Oh, okay. He's got.
So it's a two-parter and it's for all of you guys to answer, right?
Okay.
So one of our listeners actually asked, if you guys had a choice to have an intergender match with somebody, who would it be? And who is your favorite backstage segment that you had with a legend that you admire?
Intergender match.
Yeah.
So it's not a mixed tag team.
Yeah.
So it's man versus woman.
Man with so like some sort of
Right. Yeah, Danielle. Yeah.
Yeah, mine would be Bray Wyatt.
In his current in the theme as a theme.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because I would like to work with it. I mean, both times.
It's gonna
but-
happen tonight in Singapore.
Yeah, right. So we got in the ring a lot in FCW, right? Yeah, and he is brilliant to just roll around with. And what I learned from him, just now they don't let you even get in the ring with guys and stuff, but in FCW we did. What I learned from him is it can look good and they don't even have to touch you. Like, barely can scrape you, and it just looks so good. Because I remember getting in with him, I was so green. I was there for a couple months, and I didn't even know what to sell because he was barely touching me. It's great, and his kicks would just look insane. And so I really took that away from, because the girl, kind of lay it in a little bit. And it was just not necessary. And it was, And so I was also supposed to work with Bray. We had, I was supposed to be the girl in his gimmick. And so I would love to work him now or in his old gimmick. And then towards the end of the match, instead of us winning, I join his Colts. And I join his group. That would be what I really love. And I love his new thing. I think Bray is one of the most genius, innovating, creative superstars ever. Like, him and Dusty Rhodes in a room together was just exhilarating. Hearing them and fueling his dreams and letting him be himself. He's just genius, and he's really great. And then I didn't hear what else your question.
The favorite backroom segment.
Oh, backroom segment.
Yeah. Backstage. Sorry.
Ooh,
backstage.
I had a lot of great backstage segments.
So just one. Was it the one with John Ziggler?
Yeah, let me come back to you.
Okay.
I don't know. I keep thinking about when Layla, definitely not Lana, when Layla put kitty litter on me, and we realized afterwards that kitty litter is hazardous for humans and it's poisonous. And Props didn't take the kitty litter out, and that's why I have
explains everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And Layla's a little, she lays in it, yeah. And she was rubbing my face in the kitty litter, and I was like, no. And I smelled that it smelled like kitty litter. I'm like, if this gets in my eyes, I have to go to the hospital. It was crazy. So looking back, it looked bad. I looked like I wasn't taking it because I wasn't, because I was about to get poisoned.
Celine, intergender match.
Intergender match? To actually have a competitive match, I'm going to say Seth Rollins.
Oh.
Yeah, because he's just amazing. Yeah. And then backstage, the first thing that comes to mind is I did a segment with Kurt Angle, maybe the last 6 months, I think, before I left. And it was when I was basically saying that I was going to become friendly with his son, JC Jordan. But it was more the fact that I was doing a backstage segment with Kurt Angle. I was like, what is happening in my life?
Bobby, intergender match.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's just dream man. Anyway.
Backstage segment.
It has to be with Layla, actually, too. It was in ECW. I we had a segment where they were like, okay, you're just basically gonna beat the crap out of each other. You're gonna walk by her, and she's gonna walk past you, and you're gonna slap her, and then you guys just go. And so I was known for having like really hard slaps. Like people did not, because I didn't hold back. I was like, I would like really wind it up, and so I.